Hey everybody, this video brings us out to Sanford, Florida. And the reason why we are in Sanford, Florida today is to take a look at something pretty amazing. Unfortunately, I am heading back home to Pennsylvania. We're right off of Interstate 4, right off of I-4, and I had to pull over to check this out because this is pretty cool. A good way to break up the monotony of a very long drive back home to Pennsylvania, but totally worth pulling over to check this out. This is something I've heard about before. This is something I knew about. This is something I've read before on all kinds of different roadside oddity websites. I've seen listed in roadside oddity books and magazines and stuff before, so I knew one of these days I'd have to pull over and finally check this out. And today, we're pulling over. We're checking this out. I'm documenting this. I'm showing this to you guys. I'm pretty excited because as a kid growing up in the 80s into the 90s, this kind of means something a little bit special to me. Granted, it was not necessarily made in the 80s or the 90s, but still, it holds a little bit of a special place in my heart. As a kid who loves music, it holds a special place in my heart. And we're gonna take a look at what is right over there. I am pretty excited to actually see this with my own eyes. The only issue I'm having right now, though, is I'm not entirely sure how we're going to take a look at this. I don't know if I'm gonna have to walk over to the road and show this to you guys from behind a fence, or if I can actually go onto property. Maybe I can ask somebody. I'm, again, not 100% sure about how exactly we're going to look at what we're going to look at today. We're actually here at Acme Industrial Supplies. It looks like, well, it's industrial supplies. Just all kinds of, I don't know, sort of, well, whatever industrial supplies are. I'm seeing lots of metal and lots of wire and all kinds of interesting things inside there. There's also a whole yard here full of metal scraps and pipes and tubes and whatnot. So again, not entirely sure how we're going to take a look at this, but we are going to take a look at this because it is really awesome. But I might have to ask somebody and get permission to actually go onto property. I don't know. I'm kind of like in this industrial park right now, so I don't really know if I'm even really supposed to be here, but oh my gosh, right in front of me is what we're going to take a look at. Okay, this is awesome. No matter how we're going to take a look at this, we have to take a look at this. All right, so again, there's the Acme Industrial Supply shop right over there. So I kind of walked down this little parking area here, and I'm about to walk into the grass here, which is a little sketchy in Florida. You never really know what is inside the grass. There's this little waterway right here, which could have snakes, could even possibly have alligators inside it. One thing I've been told by everybody I know who lives in Florida, that's if there's water, there is alligators. That's the rule of thumb with Florida. Where there's water, there are alligators. If this was Pennsylvania, I would not be scared right now. Right now, I'd be like, whatever. There's some stagnant water. That's okay. No big deal. Whatever. We're just gonna walk down here. I could honestly care less. But in Florida, it's a little sketch. It's a little concerning to be walking by that water right over there. I think we're gonna be good though. I hope we're gonna be good though. Hopefully, I do not get attacked by an alligator in this video. If I see one though, I'm gonna run, I'm gonna scream. It's gonna be kind of funny, but again, it's gonna be worth it because, oh my gosh, it's literally right in front of me. This is so awesome. Okay, so far I'm not seeing any alligators. I'm not seeing any snakes. I think we're okay. I'm pretty sure we're okay. And again, the reason why we're out here today, the reason why we're here at the Acme Industrial Surplus, I think I said surplus earlier, it's actually surplus. The reason why we're at the Acme Industrial Surplus is to see what's right here. Take a look at this. It is an MTV Moonman, a giant MTV Moonman statue. That is amazing. I'm kind of losing my mind right now looking at this. This is so cool. So again, as somebody who grew up in the 80s, early 90s, MTV was a big thing for me. I watched a lot of MTV growing up. I wanted my MTV growing up, and there's a train coming by right now as well. Look at that. It's the Sunrail. So again, as a kid growing up in the 80s, early 90s, I wanted my MTV. I had my MTV. I watched a heck of a lot of MTV growing up. Again, we are right by some major roads right now. So I used to watch a ton of MTV growing up. I was big into music. Granted, as the years went on, I watched less and less MTV because I just wasn't into the style of music that was being played on MTV anymore. Plus, MTV, as we all know, kind of stopped playing music, became a bunch of reality TV shows and just basically focused more on anything but music, which was kind of a shame. But I remember when those shows first started starting, things like Daria and shows like Beavis and Butthead, Liquid Television with was The Max and Eon Flux and The Head, things like that. I used to watch all those shows. Sybil and Ollie, still one of my all-time favorite TV shows ever made. Of course, I did watch The Real World and Road Rules when they first started. First couple of seasons I watched, and then it just got really, really terrible and really bad. And that's how every TV show on MTV became. So I stopped watching them. But man, again, back in the day, actually watching music videos on MTV, that was something me and all my friends did. We used to watch MTV for hours. All the new bands and their new music. I remember world premieres. I remember having to be home at a certain time because at yada yada time, Green Day's new hit video was going to be on television. They would promote it over and over and over again throughout the week. At 5 o'clock p.m. Wednesday, be home to watch Green Day's new premiere music video. I'd have to be home at 5 p.m. Wednesday to watch that new video. It'd be awesome. It'd be amazing. Man, I used to watch so much MTV. So to be standing right in front of an actual moon man used for MTV is pretty awesome. So I'm sure by now you're probably all wondering why exactly there is a random MTV Moon Man Statue Award here in Sanford, Florida, again at the Acme Industrial Surplus. And the reason is because back in 2004, the MTV Music Awards were held in Miami. And this is the statue that was actually used at the 2004 MTV Music Awards in Miami, Florida. Now, granted, we're nowhere near Miami, Florida. I don't exactly know how far away that is, but I'm thinking it's maybe a few hours away at this point. I don't know. It's kind of far away. We're nowhere near Miami, Florida. So I have no idea how exactly they got a hold of this. I don't really know the story behind that, why Acme Industrial Surplus has the MTV Music Award statue. I don't really know what the reason behind that is, but from what I read, this was actually used in 2004, again at the MTV Music Awards held in Miami, Florida. That is so awesome. Again, the fact that this is here, the fact that you can just pull over either on the side of the road or come into the industrial complex and take a look at this is pretty amazing. Again, I'm just a huge, well, I shouldn't say I'm a huge fan of MTV. I'm really no longer a huge fan of MTV, but back in the day, I was a huge fan of MTV. Again, growing up in the 80s, 90s, if you were not a fan of MTV, I mean, everybody was a fan of MTV. I was big into punk rock. I was big into the punk rock scene. MTV was the enemy, but we all watched MTV in some sort. I mean, whether we watched the music videos or the TV shows or the cartoons or something, I mean, we could all say we hated MTV as much as we want, but in the long run, we all watched it. So from what I can tell, this whole thing is actually made out of foam, which is pretty awesome. It does, however, need a new paint job. As you can see, a lot of the paint has worn off over the years from being left out in the elements. I do wish they would repaint this whole thing silver like it was back in the day to look like an MTV Music Award Moon Man statue. It does still have its pole. Look at that. The pole is still in his hand there. The MTV Music Award Moon Man statues, I believe, had a flag, and he used to hold, it was like I think it was planting the MTV flag on the moon, because the whole Moon Man statue actually comes from those old commercials, the old MTV, I Want My MTV commercials, where there was an astronaut, a moon man on the moon, planting the MTV flag onto the moon. That's where these come from, those old original I Want My MTV commercials. So at one point, this moon man did actually have a flag in his hand. I remember the flag would kind of move around on the statue. I remember watching the MTV Music Awards and seeing all the different award winners, all the different musicians up on stage holding their Moon Man statues, and the flag would kind of flap around, which I always thought was really interesting. The fact that the flag was not stationary. It was part of the statue, but it moved around. I thought that was really awesome, and kind of makes you wonder. I do wonder if the flag that was in this man's hand, in this Moon Man's hand, maybe at one point spun around like in the breeze. That would have been pretty neat. I have no idea how the giant statues work. Still pretty awesome that it has its pole. I really do wish that Acme Industrial Surplus would actually, again, repaint him, bring him back to his former glory, maybe put an MTV flag in his hand. That would be amazing. What I really want to know is why do they have this? If you guys know, if you guys have any idea why this sits here, let me know. Again, I know where it comes from. I know where this was used in 2004 MTV Music Awards, Miami, Florida, but why it's here in Sanford, Florida now, I don't know still though. It's awesome that it is. Okay, this is awesome. I have left the scary alligator-ridden swamp and entered the actual scrapyard. I got permission from the guys working inside. They said, "Oh yeah, sure, go take some pictures. Go video that." That's pretty awesome, right? I was like, where did it come? Like, how did you guys get your hands on it? And he said that it actually came from Texas, supposedly. So from what the guy was telling me, this had actually, even though it's from Miami, Florida, from what I read online, this was used at the MTV Music Awards in Miami, Florida in 2004. Even though supposedly that's where this was used, I could be wrong about that though. Again, that's what I read online. This apparently was being held in Texas in a storage yard in Texas, and whoever owned this did not pay their rent, and it came up for sale. And the previous owner of the Acme Surplus, apparently they actually bought it, and it's been here ever since. So that's the story I was told, which is an interesting story. I don't know how it would have gone from Miami, Florida to Texas, back to Florida again. That's really, really interesting, but that is what I was just told. So again, used in the 2004 MTV Music Awards in Miami, Florida, from what I read online. And then I guess somebody bought this, went to Texas, was stored in a storage unit. They did not pay the rent. It went up for sale, kind of like Storage Wars. If you guys ever watched that show, you don't pay your rent. The stuff inside your locker or your storage unit goes up for sale. This went up for sale, and the previous owner of this industrial surplus warehouse, they bought it, and it's been here ever since on display. That is so cool, and it's also pretty awesome. They let me in here to get a really close-up look at this. Look at that. How awesome is this? If you're a fan like I am of MTV, or at least you were a fan like I am of MTV, and you grew up with MTV. If you're an 80s and 90s kid, and you grew up watching MTV all the time, watching the MTV Music Awards, watching just music videos, you remember the old Moon Man statue commercials? Yeah, this is pretty awesome. So now that I'm actually getting up close to this, I'm realizing that the actual Moon Man is standing on top of the MTV logo. This is a giant M right here. There's a footprint over there on one side of the M, and there's the TV on this side of the M. So again, giant Moon Man statue standing on top of the MTV logo. And like I said, this is made of some kind of really thick foam. That is awesome. Again, there's the actual flagpole. So cool. I'm actually standing right next to this and physically touching this. That is so incredibly neat. And I'm so happy I realized it's the actual MTV logo he is standing on. All right, guys, so I do think that's just about gonna do it for this video. But again, I had to pull over, take a quick detour off of I-4 to Sanford, Florida to see the giant MTV Music Awards Moon Man statue, because that is just so incredibly awesome. Like I said, as somebody who grew up in the 80s, early 90s, I loved MTV. I remember seeing these statues all the time, watching the MTV Music Awards, seeing these statues being given out. So I knew I had to pull over and finally check this out. If you guys have ever actually been out to Sanford, Florida, if you've ever been here to the Acme Industrial Surplus and you've seen this giant Moon Man, leave your comments down below. Did you just see him from the other side of the chain link fence over where the scary alligators are? Or did you actually ask permission to come into the little storage area here, the actual surplus sort of yard here, to see the Moon Man? Apparently they're okay with you coming in here and taking photos as long as you ask. So that is so incredibly cool. Leave comments down below, like I said, if you've been out here to see this. But with that, again, we are done. I am sweating like a pig. I have not gotten used to this Florida weather yet. If I'm moving down here, I should probably get used to this and probably wear some shorts. I don't know why every time I come down here, I'm always rocking black shirts with black pants. It makes very little sense. The sun is quite hot. The humidity is quite insane. So I'm gonna go back in the van and cool off. But again, I had to pull over and check out this amazing Moon Man statue. But all right, guys, again, with that, we are done. So as always, I'm gonna stay in the shade. So as always, guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, check down below for links to Patreon. If you guys do become a patron, I will send you a postcard every single month from the road. Also check down below for a link to Spreadshirt, where you can pick up retro Rest Stop t-shirts. Proceeds, both from Spreadshirt and from Patreon, do help support the show. It does help bring us out to amazing places like this to see giant Moon Man statue. So I really, really do appreciate the help and the support, guys. But again, with that, we are done. So I'm gonna say, if you watch this video all the way to the very end, I know in the last couple of videos I forgot to do hashtags. If you watch the video all the way to the very end, hashtag I want my MTV. That's what I want you guys to do. Hashtag I want my MTV if you watch this video all the way until the very end. So again, guys, here from Sanford, Florida, at the Acme Industrial Surplus, the giant MTV Music Awards Moon Man statue, and yet another Sunrail train coming by. Something else I've never done. I've never taken the actual Sunrail. Maybe one of these days I will do that. But anyway, guys, so awesome, so cool. This is just too amazing. All right, so again, guys, like I said, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you do hit that subscribe button, or you are subscribed, then I will see you in tomorrow's video. Probably from, well, Pennsylvania, maybe on the way back, probably on the way back home to Pennsylvania. All right, guys, again, thanks for watching Moon Man statue. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.